How much are you looking forward to this fight, and how sort of frustrating has the last sort of year been, in terms of not being able to fight and finally getting back into the ring now?
Yeah, I'm excited, mate. To be honest with you, I forgot what this feels like. When fighters have a retirement and then they come back and it's all new again. That's what I kind of feel like. It must be what that's like. Yeah, it's a little bit different. Just coming back as well after 15 months out, and with the way that we're doing fight week. I mean, normally I've got my set routines and doing my little things, but being in a bubble and everything else is a little bit weird. But listen, to answer your question, mate, it's been a tough year, sat on the sidelines, but I've stayed motivated, stayed focused, and can't wait to be throwing level again.
Yeah, in terms of how you've been keeping busy, Josh, you've obviously got your young family and what have you. You're obviously in great condition. How would you say you've spent the last sort of 15 months?
Just as you say, mate, spending time with the family and training. That is all I've been doing. I mean, there's sort of all else you can do, really, isn't there? But I'm lucky enough to have my own private gym. I've been able to go in there during all the lockdowns, go in, turn the key, and just train away. If there's just been myself there or some of my team members, it's been good to just focus on the training and then spend as much time as possible with my little girls and my family. So that's been a nice disguise and a nice distraction, if I'm honest with you. But ready and getting back. And honestly, I'm ready to get back to throwing the lever. Honestly.
Just a final one from me, Josh. What are you expecting from your opponent this weekend?
He's not really known over here, and a lot of people in the States are saying some very, very good things about him. Saying he's going to come over here and cause an upset, and that's how it right. He's got more knockouts than me. He comes for a fight. I know he's only got the fight at short notice, but this can be life changing for him, and it's only 36 minutes, so he's going to come. But in the same breath, I've been training hard for an hard fight. I've been training for a fight what's supposed to cement me as number one in the world. So I'm ready for anything that he brings. Whatever he's done in the last 5 or 6 weeks, I'll be ready for it, mate, believe me. And, I reckon he's going to come. He's going to try and make an impression. I don't know how well he does 12, but listen, I can do 12 really well. And I'm hitting even harder now. So it's going to be an entertaining fight, that's for sure.
That's great. Cheers, Josh. Thanks.
No problem, mate. No problem.
Ben McKenna next, please.
Hiya, Josh. How you keeping?
All right, Ben. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks.
Good, man.
With it being so long that you have fought, and you mentioned it being a tough year for yourself, it's also been a tough year for a lot of the fans with the lockdowns. How nice is it you can get out there and give them a bit of entertainment when we're stuck in another lockdown?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, isn't it? I mean, normally we entertain them with Sweet Caroline, I Predict a Riot, marching together, loads of pints getting chucked all over, and everyone just a little bit merry. This one's obviously going to be a little bit different, but people are going to be watching from the living rooms, and I'm sure they'll be screaming and shouting and cheering. And for those who've not missed a fight in years, and I've got a few of them fans who've been there since I've been winning titles back in 2012. They've been to every run since. It is going to be different for them guys because, like I say, they're there through thick and thin to every show, and obviously can't be there. They're going to be watching from the telly. Probably going to be a little bit anxious, but it's my job to make them entertained and do a good job, keep the winning record, and keep the big fights alive. And like I say, it's the winning that does that. You get beat, and then it's back onto the, I won't say small shows, but you're not as exciting, and you're not looking at the big unification fights anymore. It's just building yourself back up. and I think we've worked too hard over the years to for that to happen. So I'll be entertaining on Saturday night, mate. Don't you worry.
Are you allowing yourself to look past Lara and what might come next, or
not at all? Listen, I'm not going to be. I'm not going to put that question off completely, because I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. Obviously, there's a massive dangling carrot right there in front of me. Get through this one, Josh. There could potentially be an even bigger one, and more baubles on the line. With that being said, all this week, my head's been focused on Lara. I've non-stop watched him, clips of him, just obsessing, looking at his record, his fighting style, finding pictures of him on Google, just to get his image in my head and him in action in my head, because ultimately it's him who's trying to stop it this Saturday night. So I think you can get a bit complacent and think it's going to be a given, and then that's when things can go wrong, and you don't want to be going into the fight and like be 3 rounds deep and thinking, wow, this is not what I expect. But if I've got a monster in my head and the fight's a lot easier than I expect, then that's always a bonus. And if not, if it is a tough fight, well, at least I've prepared for it up there. So I'm ready, mate. I'm ready.
And just final one from me. Have you changed much with your training schedule, given it's been so long since you've kind of had a fight to prepare for?
Obviously, I've had about a 15-month training camp, which is normally around 12 weeks. But to be honest with you, I live in the gym anyway. I'm always in the gym. If anything, we've just done things a little bit different, because I'm 30 now, Ben. I'm 30. It's not like I'm a young whippersnapper anymore. Last time I was Matchroom, I was 24, 25, not even married, no kids. Now I've got a bad back. I've got greys. I've got kids. I'm married. So things have changed a little bit. But no, if anything, we've just been a little bit smarter. We enrolled a new strength conditioning coach last year, and we've just changed the way that we set our days out and our rest days. And listen, I feel fantastic. I'm sure you'll have seen on social media, uploading topless selfies and pictures and whatnot. I'm in good condition, and I feel really good. Everything on record, my sparring, my running, my fitness, it's all through the roof. So it's all about doing it under the lights now. All about doing it under the lights.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Josh. Best of luck.
No problem. Cheers, Ben. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. If we go to Jake Donovan next, please.
Hey, Josh. Thanks for taking these big calls and doing this interview. I did want to ask, I know you're not looking past Mauricio Lara for good reason, but what I wanted to know was, at what point did you realize that there was a serious chance you would have to give up your title, and how difficult was it for you to make that decision?
Hello, Jake. Yeah, it more or less came out of the blue, if I'm honest with you. It were more or less in the space of 12 to 24 hours. It were more or less in middle of the last stages of camp, and all of a sudden we're in this predicament. I regretted not the decision to vacate it. It's what I have to do to move forward and get the big fights. But yeah, it just seemed to happen really quick. And to be honest with you, if there'd have been more of a build-up, if there'd been a few days dwelling on it, then might have changed my decision. But it would just happen there and then. And you know what? In reflection, I'm happy with it. I'm really happy with it, because obviously nobody wants to give up a belt. I've worked hard to win that world title, 3 defenses under my belt. And I've always said the only way that you're taking this bloody belt off me is by, beating me up and dragging me out of the ring. Or, I go out on my shield, and to lose it to the politics is not always the best way. But like I say, I'm not going to be, I've said this many times, and I probably bore myself in saying it myself, I'm not going to be defined by that one belt. For me, I'm at a stage where I believe I can go on and win more belts. There's lovely belts out there. It's all added to your resume. It's all added to your CV. The talk about the Ring Magazine belt, I mean, that just blows my mind. When you look at the history of boxing and how many people and fighters have won that, and then the type of resume, it's like, man, you could have Josh Warrington at the side of that. Wow, it makes me head spin. But it's all out there, and the only way that I was able to do that is by vacating the belt.
Okay, great. We actually answered my second question with that, so I appreciate it. Great to have you back. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thank you very much, Jake. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jake. Next, if we hand over to Joe Lee from Seconds Out, please.
Hi Josh, how you keeping, mate?
Hey Joe, you okay?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. I was just wondering, as you just mentioned about, obviously you're frustrated having to vacate the belt. Do you think the best long-term solution for boxing, but also for people who are in your situation and maybe you again in the future, is to scrap most of the belts and just have one world champion in every weight division?
Oh man, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? That would be lovely. I mean, and obviously the belts had a little bit more glam to the fights. And if you had a busy division like the feather division or the lightweight division where you've got, you know, so many great fighters in the top 10, then a lot of fights could be made with different belts on the line. So you could have, you know, like we've had Lopez and Lomachenko, and you've got Aney and all the other rest of the guys. You can all mix them up and put the belts on the line, because obviously everybody wants to have a world title and call himself a world champion. Ultimately, I think the Ring magazine is that defining numero uno, cemented number one, because it looks over all of them. I think the belts just add a little bit more gloss to the fights, but I think it should be easier to make the big fights happen. You know, I think with mandatories and everything else, it makes it a little bit difficult. You know, it makes it a little bit difficult, and it's not the first time that we've seen this happen. Obviously, I know there's other politics in there with like different broadcasters, different promoters, and all that stuff, but the belts can be a stumbling block as well. And yeah, it would, like in my position, I think people can maybe take a lesson from that. It won't be defined that by that belt, because ultimately there's been some big fights over the years, and some people won't even able to tell you what the belt were on the line. They'll just remember that big fight and how exciting that fight was. So, you know, I consider myself still, you know, one of the best in the world, even though I don't have that strap. I mean, it's at home in my wardrobe, but like I say, it's about having the big fights, and ultimately that's what the fans want to see.
Thank you, mate. Just the one from me. Good luck.
No problem. Thanks, Joe.
Yes.
Thanks, Joe. If we go to Jim from PA next, please.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for your time.
No worries, Jim.
Hi. Just to I know there's been a lot of talk about what might happen after this fight, but can you just give us a bit of an insight of how you keep yourself focused actually on this fight when everyone's saying, well, after this is going to happen, because if the job doesn't get done on Saturday, then that makes things more difficult, doesn't it?
Because you know, the thing is, Jim, I know what I'm still competing this weekend, and you know, this is fight number 31. I've been here many, many times, and there's never an easy fight, no matter what promoters, managers, even trainers say. There's never an easy fight. End of the day, it's also we're taking the punches to the face, and you know, if you go in there with the blasé attitude of, oh yeah, this is going to be a steady one, I've got this one straight after, that's when things go wrong. It's sport, you know. It's never a written. It's never a written. You know, you've still got to go out there and perform. And ultimately, when I'm in there, this guy's going to be throwing punches at me. He's going to be trying to hurt me, and I know I've got to beat him up to get past that and make the other fights happen. So, yeah, like I said on a couple of questions ago, there is that dangling carrot there, but that dangling carrot just goes it goes missing. It gets squashed. The talks of the other big fights go out the window. If you get beat, nobody likes that L. No one gets an L and then goes straight into a big unification fight. So it's that, man, what keeps me going. And you know, I'm 30-year-old now, and I don't want to be adding another 2 years onto my career, getting back up there because I've had a bad night, or taking my eye off the ball, or focus too much on the fight in front. So believe me, I'm fully focused on this Saturday. Obviously, this fight came a little bit short notice than we anticipated, but we've adjusted physically, mentally, and I'm ready to go, mate.
And just another quick one, if I may, with this being the first sort of boxing show this year after all of the restrictions, does that add a little bit of extra special or an extra pressure that, you know, fight fans have been starved of any sort of live action?
It just makes me want to put on a good show. Obviously, got to stay focused and got to do the job in hand. But just want to put on a good show. We're kicking off the boxing season this year in the UK, and like I say, you don't want to have a stinker up first one, do you? Nobody wants to have a stinker up first one, because then no one's going to be bloody tuning in for the rest of the series. So yeah, let's kick off with a good fight. There's some brilliant fights on the undercard. And like I say, he's a Mexican. I love to go forward. Going to throw punches. Going to be cherry on top end at night.
That's great. Thanks for your time. Best of luck.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Thanks, Jim. If you go to Jeremy next, please.
Tell you what,
Hey,
Dan, I'm fucking boring, me. I just can't answer questions quickly, can I? It's always so boring. Oh, man.
Hi, Josh. How are you doing?
Hi, mate. How are you?
Good, good. You've done a really good job of explaining your rationale for relinquishing the IBF title. I'm kind of wondering, are you more frustrated with the politics of being forced or the attempt to force you into a rematch? Or did you view it as kind of like a fight that doesn't make sense because you've already done it before?
Yeah, probably the latter. Probably the latter, Jeremy. And I think that kind of combines with the first answer as well. It's a bit frustrating with the politics, but in the same breath, I've beat him 3 times. All right, only once as professional, but I've beat him, 3 times altogether, amateur and pro. So it's like my career's not going to be about Barry and Kid Galahad, nor is it just going to be about Lee Selby or Carl Frampton. There's other big names on there. Like what I keep on saying, I want to add to my resume. Your Gary Russells, your Kanjus, your Navarretes, all massive fights out there. And I'm a boxing fan just like you. I can see you all there. That's absolutely fantastic, by the way. You love boxing. And all you want to see is big fights. Now, as fighters, normally, especially in this pandemic, we normally only fight twice a year. In them fights, I don't want to be having fucking special coming homes and steady defenses and assault. Nah, never mind all that stuff. Get me in the big fights. If I could have it my own way, it'd be Kanju in the next one. After that, Gary Russell Jr. And just keep on having these big fights while the momentum's there, whilst I'm in my prime years and whilst we've got time. So, if organisations are going to demand mandatories or there's an opportunity to vacate and go on to bigger fights, then that's what I'll do. That's what I'll have to do, and I've already done so.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it, and
No worries,
thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. Great wall, by the way, mate. Great wall.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. If it goes to Ron Lewis next, please.
Hi, Josh. By the looks of things, the first thing you did on arriving in London was redecorate your hotel room. Can you take us through your motivational wall behind you there? And is that something you always do?
I'm away from home, isn't it, Ron? I'm away from home, so we have one of the fellas who sponsors a few of the lads in the gym, and he's kindly given me a logoed fridge. But I'm always coming out with quotes and statements and motivations and stuff. And we were just chatting in the gym, and he heard some of the stuff that we said. And one of the bottom lines there is beyond the belts. And we're all, Nick Manners had said it first, and then we were all just laughing and joking about that. And I think that quote kind of came from what we've more or less done in recent times in vacating the belt. I keep on saying it. I'm not going to be defined by that belt. So in us vacating and moving on for the bigger fights, we're going beyond the belts. It's not about that fucking one belt there. It's about the bigger fights, the bigger nights, the bigger stages, and that's it, mate. Yeah, that's it. But
the ones above it.
Ones above it. We've got make your life a masterpiece. Imagine no limitations on what you can be, have or do. Push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. I mean, I love that one because certainly boxing is a singular sport, and although we do have corner teams, and on a normal circumstance, we'd be fighting in front of thousands of people and they're screaming and shouting. Ultimately, it's only me who can throw my arms in the ring. Ultimately, when I'm in the gym, it's only me who can push myself in training. It's only me who can push myself on the runs. That just makes sense because, like I say, my old fella can scream and shout at me to do whatever, but it's up to me to do so. And I've got to take charge of it. It's like this Saturday, everyone's talking about what could potentially be after. It's up to me. I've got to do this next one first. So yeah, that one is certainly relevant at this moment in time. But listen, Ron, I've got a book of them. I love quotes, mate. If I could have my own way at home, It'd be all over the house, but Mrs. isn't that keen.
Is it always something you do though when you go to a hotel room? Now, have you ever been charged for like damaging the wallpaper?
No, I always make sure that I look after it. Make sure I'll pull the tape off nice and gently, and it's all right. But yeah, I just do little things like that, little mementos. Maybe put me. I've got a Leeds United scarf and flag that always goes up. I'll write little notes in my training diaries, or little phases. Like for instance, 2018, it were destined. I was destined to be world champion against that fight, Lee Selby at Ellen Road. Last year was year of unification. That never came out right, but I don't mind them. There's just some people and athletes might think I'm stupid, but I don't mind that. I love all that motivational shit.
Excellent. Take care, mate.
Cheers, Ron. Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Ron. If we go to Kevin Garside next, please.
Let me unmute myself. Am I unmuted there?
Yeah, you can hear me.
You are. Okay. Josh, you are a famous son of Leeds, and I wonder if in this pandemic period you've been able to connect with your football team in any way that's meaningful when you approach a fight.
Just been able to watch them on the telly, mate. That's it. I've had a few messages today actually as I've arrived here, wishing me well, which I massively appreciate.
Who are the boxing fans in the team?
I think most of them are fans of myself. I mean, I
Right.
don't know how many are diehard boxing fans. Like Liam Cooper and Stewie Dallas are big boxing fans, and I believe Click is as well. But the rest of them just support myself and always want me to do well. So yeah, I've had some nice messages off them, and I'm sure they'll be sending me a few for rest of the week as well. But in terms of personal interaction, there hasn't been many. Plenty on social, but like I say, I've had invites to the game, but I've not gone down because I went down for the Charlton game at end of last season, and I watched the cup get lifted. I kind of abused my position, and we're able to get in there and watched all that. But I felt a little bit dirty, if I'm honest with you. Because there's people who would have chopped left legs out, or people would have not missed a game in 40 or so years, and I was there, so I felt that I wouldn't go to a Premier League game until the rest of the fans are back, because ultimately, my connection with the club, I'm still just a fan first and foremost. So I'll go back when the rest of the fans are allowed back.
But it is, isn't it? It's quite important that the identity of a city is so intimately linked with its big sports brands. Leeds United, fantastic club. We remember Bremner and that era, Johnny Giles. I'm old enough to remember seeing those guys live. Fantastic club. And now Bielsa's doing something unbelievable in the way that we've got a great coach at a great club, and everybody's talking about Leeds. But for boxing fans, you're just as your identity as a son of Leeds, as it were, is so important. And I wonder how much that kind of feeds your energy when you're coming into big fight weekends. Your identity as a Leeds boy and what it means to Leeds for you to do well.
I love it. I'm Leeds through and through, and the support isn't just coming from Leeds these days, but it started off in Leeds, And when I've been a Leeds fan all my life, and started going down to the ground as a young lad, and then when you start falling in love with the club, we were diabolical, we were terrible in League One, getting beat off of pub teams in FA Cup, and you start following the club, and your profile starts growing around the city, and there's only 16,000 turning up to Ellen Road in league matches, but we're getting 10,000 in the arena to watch me, and I'm hearing a lot of comments like, you're bringing the glory days back to Leeds, Josh, and to quote a few comments what I've heard many times when we weren't doing so well and before Bielsa and all that stuff, were at least you'll bring a smile to our face instead of that bag of shite down at Ellen Road, and that's what times were like for a long period. And then I had the massive fight at Ellen Road in May 2018, and a few people were saying they hadn't seen Ellen Road bouncing like that for a long time. and then Bielsa came in, and it's just kind of bounced on from there. Now, I'm not saying that I'm started that effect or anything like that, but it kind of works hand in hand. And obviously, now I'm seeing them doing well. I want to carry on doing well. And, I'm sure the boys at the Leeds Rhinos want to keep on doing well. And anybody else who's from the sporting background, whether it's swimmers or the gymnast or the triathletes, everybody wants to do well because, like you say, a city who loves its sport, when everyone's booming, then it shows. It shows. It's good energy. So, I certainly take energy off Leeds United and how everybody's talking about him, and they're all over the place, and for the better, to be honest with you, because we do get a lot of stick, the Leeds and Leeds fans. But yeah, it's I think if I'm doing well as well, and it runs in hand in hand.
Thanks, Josh.
No problem, Kev.
Thanks, Kevin. If you go to Andy from Boxing Social next, please.
Hi, Josh. How you doing?
Hello, Andy. How are you, pal?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. We spoke on the phone about a month ago before the Lara fight was announced and when everybody thought it was Kanju next. And you said to me, when you was heading into the fights from now on, you wanted the stoppage wins. You'd had enough wars and you wanted to get out of the ring earlier. You wanted to be able to enjoy a night, get into bed early. With the change of opponent, the change of mentality, you haven't got that roaring Leeds fan base behind you on the night as well. How do you go about ensuring you can do something similar to Mauricio Lara?
I know the power's there. I know I've got the technique and whatnot. Certainly with them little 8-ounce gloves on. I mean, I do damage in sparring when I've got the 16-ounce gloves on, and the sparring partner's got the big head guards on, and man, they're like pillows. And these gloves that I'll be slipping on Monday night, Saturday night. And like they're tight, they're brand new, and even just doing that, it hurts. So I know that when I'm landing them shots, it's gonna do damage, but it's setting them shots up. Now, a Mexican who's got a massive opportunity, the last thing I would need to do is go all guns blazing in the first few rounds. It's been a long time since I've traded level with little gloves on. So, I reckon a round or two, we'll be taking a look, getting myself warmed into it. I don't think he does 12 that well. I don't think he's done it that many times, if I'm honest with you. So, I'm experienced in them in the long drawn out fights that we've said before. I think once I get warmed into it, maybe start sitting down on my punches, and then when Dad gives me the green light to go, then put it all together, mate.
Final thing from me, Josh, because I know that you've run out of time, other people wanting to ask. How much attention do you pay to social media, Josh? I know you'd have heard about kind of the outburst from Kid Galahad, and you'd have seen that the fight with Jazza Dickens on the verge of kind of the purse bids and what have you. Well, purse bids were confirmed, but just how much have you paid attention to what Kid Galahad's been saying about you and what have you?
I am. I am, to be honest with you, mate. He can do whatever he wants to do, but he needs to mention me, doesn't he? Because that's how it right. I think Eddie had cleared this up last week when there were a purse bid to fight me. It would into millions, and I think the purse bid against Jazza Dickens just made 100, maybe the 6-figure mark. So yeah, it's boring. It's boring. I don't know who runs his social media and all that and does his daft videos for him, but like I say, he wants me to respond because it's fucking irrelevant about me. So I'm on a different path, different mission. So yeah, I don't pay too much attention, mate.
Josh, best of luck on Saturday. I'll catch up with you after.
Nice one. Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Andy. We've got time for 2 more outlets to ask quick questions. We've got Josh's opponent just waiting to join. So we'll go to Steve Bilton first, and then Jonathan. I know you've been waiting the whole time, mate, and we'll have to end it there.
Hi, Josh. It's Steve from Boxing UK.
Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
Hello, mate. Josh, I just wanted to talk about your absence from the ring.
Yep.
You had 4 fights in 15 months, 3 of them pretty high profile.
Yeah.
And then it's been 15 months since you fought. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know, Steve. we'll have to wait and see on Saturday. Listen, it's not been a bad thing, I don't think. Obviously, I need to be active. I want to be active. I like going off. I like having them fights in quick succession. Not because I go like ballooning up in between weight or anything like that, but just I'm in that routine. you get used to having your camps, you're getting used to getting straight back into the gym and working on the next game plan and sussing out the next opponent. Now, 15 months is a long time and it's a big void, but if anything, it's given me a chance to work on a few things that I thought I need to work on. Let a few little injuries, niggling injuries, what I've had over a long period of time, to rest up completely and recharge up there as well. So I'm itching to be back, and I'm ready to resume to the busy schedule again.
Good man. Best luck on Saturday, Josh.
Thank you, mate. See you.
Take care.
Hey, Josh, John here from Pro Boxing Fans. How you doing?
Hi, John. You okay?
Not bad, thanks. You mentioned obviously fights looming potentially with Kanju, Gary Russell. How much sort of guarantees have you had that if you come through Saturday night, that will be your next fight? And I know last year you were linked quite heavily to a fight with Shakur Stevenson, who's now moved up. Is that a guy still on your radar, perhaps later this year?
Yeah, I think so. To answer your first question, listen, Sam were ready for a reason. Since our absence away from him, he's grown and grown and grown in the sport, and I think we've grown as well in terms of our profile. Now we're back together. You put trust in your team and your promotion company and everyone else, and he's very, very confident that he can make these fights happen. And all we've got to do is keep winning, and then it makes it easy to happen. I didn't even realise it, but apparently there's a bit of a value when you get to fight me, especially when crowds are back in, because my amount of money that we generate in ticket sales and everything else. So there is that. But yeah, it's about winning the fights, getting through them. In terms of Shakur, I think he was the only man who looked like potentially being made when I was under Frank and his team. But now things have changed a little bit. There's many other options. Listen, that would be a great fight if I went up to super feather. Everyone's talking about how great he is and he could potentially be a next superstar. It'd be nice to stop that hype train, and me and him have shared a few words from time to time. But there's also some other fantastic fights out there. Santa Cruz has said he's still hanging about at featherweight. Oscar Valdez has moved up to 130 as well. Could be potentially Barnstorm and Navarrete, big punching Mexican. So they're all mouth-watering fights, and like I said earlier on in this Zoom call, that you just want to be in the fights that the fans are excited about. The fights that the fans remember. And I'm not saying that Shakur wouldn't be that, but yeah, we'll just wait and see when we get through these next few.
Best of luck Saturday, Josh.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
One very last one, as we've got two Jonathans on the call. Jonathan Pinfield, if you just want to finish things off for us, mate.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Josh, just wanted to ask you a bit about your dad, if that's okay. How's he kept you entertained during lockdown? Has he been putting you through your paces in the gym? And how are his knees doing? Because I was thinking, have you thought about getting him a Bielsa bucket to sit down on between the rounds to give him a bit of a what do you reckon?
He sits down on stool normally in between the rounds. His knees are struggling a bit these days. He gets a can of WD-40, sprays them on there, just loosen them up a bit. You'll watch him on Saturday. He struggles getting in and out of ropes. I think it takes him about 15 seconds to get in. So we only get around 20 seconds in between rounds. But no, he's good. He's good. He's obviously motivated because last year he had a successful year with Max Hughes. He turned his career around a little bit and got him some very good wins when Maxi was a massive underdog. Now he's got myself and Reese to go out on Saturday night, so that's been keeping him busy. So you know me, old fella. He always makes light of bad situations, whether that be not fighting for such a long time or not getting the fights that we wanted. Just always tries to make a best of it, and just says, "Listen, it's only a bit of boxing. Stop carrying on," and keeps us entertained with his daft things like his dancing and things like that, mate. Yeah.
And finally, Josh, when the fight was first announced, some people on social media actually thought that you were fighting the West Indies legendary cricketer Brian Lara.
Right. Okay.
it made me think that there's a lot of talk at the moment about these exhibition bouts featuring YouTubers and random celebrities. What are your thoughts on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for boxing?
My thoughts are they shouldn't be allowed to call themselves professional boxers. There should be kind of some other kind of license for them, but they're not pro boxers. Maybe have them as an exhibition bouts. I don't mind them if they headline a show where there's a lot of pro boxers on the undercard, but don't label them as pro fighters. And yeah, that's it really.